So the last free-to-play MMO mobile game that I played here on the channel was Ni no Kuni Cross Worlds. And boy, was that game an auto-pathing, auto-battling mess that masqueraded around as a game to trick Ni no Kuni fans into playing it. God, that game sucked. Now, when I heard that Diablo Immortal was another free-to-play mobile MMO, which basically amounts to 3 of the 9 circles of hell, I really didn't want to install it on my machine. But install it I did, because what am I if not a man of the people, playing these shitty games that suck ass to give you my verdict on what the problem is. Now, before we dive into this video, let's talk about my experience with Diablo games. I've never played one before in my life. Yeah, that's right. Diablo Immortal is about to be my first Diablo experience. Wish me luck on this one, boys. And make sure to stick around to the end of this video, because that's when the real plot twist comes in here. Again, I like to play my games on PC, so all the gameplay you're seeing here was captured on the PC beta client. First, let's talk about the class selection. Already, I was pleasantly surprised. You got a wide variety of classes to choose from, and all of them seemed unique and like they played differently. You had your Barbarian Warrior class, your Standard Wizard, your Ranged class, the Monk, the Crusader, and the Necromancer. I decided to pick Crusader because I'm a sword and shield kind of guy, and honestly, throughout my playtime, I feel like a lot of other people picked Crusader too. I don't know, let me know down in the comments below what class you guys picked. The character creator, honestly, kind of sucks. There's barely any customization in the way that you can make your character look, even if there are a lot of sliders to mess around with. I tried sliding all the options all the way up just to see if I could make my character look as ridiculous as possible, and all I managed to do was make it look like he had a slight allergic reaction to pollen. For every single slider being bumped up to the max, I'd say that still looks like a pretty normal human being. But I understand that the game is on mobile, so we'll cut it a little slack. Now we start up the game and...
The dock for Wortham. God, that whole village has gone to hell. You sure I can't take you someplace else?
Wow. Voice acting that's actually good. Cool. I like it. Now please don't start autopathing me. Please, 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 please don't autopath me. Whoa. Whoa. I can actually move around freely. You know, like an actual video game? It's a miracle. These mobile developers have finally got it figured out. Seriously, I can't convey to you how good it felt to be able to run around after having control completely taken away from me in Cross Worlds. And ooh, the combat in this game is actually pretty fire. Every hit feels impactful and satisfying. Combine that with some of your cool-ass abilities that you unlock along the way, and it makes for a very gratifying combat system. Plus, this game is actually challenging. I actually had to worry about my positioning. Getting out of the way of enemies' telegraphed AoE attacks was a requirement, and at times I was sweating as to whether I'd make it out of the combat encounter alive. You don't have to wait 10 to 20 hours before you even get close to dying once, like most of these boring-ass mobile MMOs. As you level up, you'll gain more access to skills unique to your class. And I gotta say, I don't know if it's just the Crusader, but some of these skills are badass. Frickin' one of them has you summon down a sword from the sky, then you tap the skill again and you teleport to the sword while slamming down onto the ground. Okay, Diablo Immortals, I see you! Around level 20-ish, I gained access to the skill that summoned a horsey that not only helped me to get around the world faster, but also served as a way to quickly reposition around enemies during combat while dealing damage at the same time. And I'm sure the more skills you gain access to as you level up, the more badass the combat becomes. After defeating a couple of monsters, they ended up dropping some gear for me, so I go into my inventory to equip it. Now, please actually change how I look. Don't just have me wear shoulder pads but not reflect the change. Okay, here goes. Now that's what I'm talking about, baby! Woo! I love it when games do this, especially when it's an MMO, because as I've said previously, part of the fun of an MMO is to show off all the badass equipment you've painstakingly obtained by spending hours trying to get that one cool drop. Stat increases are always cool, but what's the point if it doesn't look the part as well? And it's not just the shoulder pads. Your sword changes, your shield changes, your armor, and the belt, and I gotta say, so far I'm pleasantly surprised by Diablo Immortal. And again, the voice acting. I know I mentioned it earlier briefly, but almost every single line in this game is voice acted to perfection.
You've arrived at quite a difficult time. As you can plainly see, the townsfolk are ill at ease. My name is Deckard Cain.
It's really well done, and I enjoyed all the different character voices. Notice that I said almost, though. There are a couple lines that they seem to skip out on for some reason, and because it happens so rarely, it's especially jarring. It's a small nitpick, but I did want to point it out at least. Now, just because the voice acting is good in this game doesn't mean what they're talking about is particularly interesting. The story is a snore fest, if I'm being honest, and I know that's just a staple at this point with MMOs, but good God, would I be happy with an entertaining story to follow for once. You got this stupid sacred stone that you need to get, and blah blah blah, she's a bad guy, and blah blah blah, he's a good guy, and oh, she got away. Go chase her down, and oh no, she got away again. So yeah, the voice acting's good, but the story's so bland even I had to skip through the dialogue sometimes, and I'm a sucker for good voice acting. I also want to mention how interesting some of the environments and varied the questing is. One in particular had me going, whoa, that's actually pretty cool. You have to venture toward this forest while this NPC cries for help. You go to rescue him and see these evil plant-like creatures attacking him, so off you go to save him. He then gives you a letter asking you to rescue his daughter, so you follow the blood trail examining clues along the way, which leads you to believe that the village has been attacked by blood-sucking plants. How interesting is that? You don't see that kind of creativity in MMOs much nowadays, at least in my opinion. Now, I know you guys must be wondering, isn't this video titled The Problem with Diablo Immortal? You've been giving this game the Gluck Gluck 3000 quick, what's the deal? Well, listen, there are some things that this game does well, and I have to give credit where credit is due. But did you really think there wouldn't be any problems at all? The game may have a good foundation, but just like any free-to-play mobile MMO, there's almost always a catch. We haven't talked about the microtransactions yet, have we? Well, let's get into what's lurking under the surface of this game that wants to inevitably take a huge out of your wallet. Some of the cash shop can be pretty tame. You got your cosmetics you can purchase for your weapons and armor, a battle pass that gives you rewards as you level up, your standard free-to-play stuff, and I'm fine with all of that, especially when I consider that random loot drops significantly change your appearance anyways. So all of that is fine. What's not fine are these things. The eternal legendary crests. As soon as I used these to enter a dungeon, I knew they were going to be a point of contention within this game. Now, once you finish the story content, which should approximately take you 6 to 8 hours, you reach the endgame. Now, you want to min-max your gear to be ready for endgame dungeons, rifts, and PvP content. Thing is, to become the strongest you can, you need to use these eternal legendary crests you obtain in the shop to get these things called legendary gems. You can also use rare crests as well, but they're a lower tier than the legendary crests, thereby reducing your chance of obtaining said gem, and the rare crests don't even allow you to get the 5-star gems that you're ultimately aiming for, and it's a low chance to even obtain those lower tier gems. Does your brain hurt yet? Long story short, you use a max of 3 legendary crests before entering an Elden Rift, which is essentially a dungeon for a chance to win anywhere from a 1-star to a 5-star legendary gem so that you can max out your gear. Here are the drop rates on screen if you guys want to check them out. Pretty ridiculous stuff, right? The end game is essentially a cash grab, and by the time you get to the end game, you've probably sunk a decent amount of time into Diablo Immortal to the point that you want to keep playing, yet this is your reward. Now, I'm pretty sure you can attempt to obtain gems and other loot without the crests, but Asmongold has a pretty hilarious example of how much more efficient it is to pay for 3 legendary crests before you enter an Elden Rift.
So what we're going to do here is I'm going to run this, and this rift right here is going to cost me about $20. Yeah, it's really not a big deal. Oh, he's almost dead. Okay. Wow! So we're going to do no crests. I'm going to show you guys what just an average run looks like, okay? All right, let's see the loot. Wait. There's no chest. I didn't get any upgrades.
3 legendary crests are basically just one run of the dungeon, which is going to cost you exactly $20 every time you do it. And you can imagine you'll be doing this a lot. So yeah, this game is pretty much Two-Face from Batman.
The world is cruel, and the only morality in a cruel world is chance. Unbiased, unprejudiced, fair.
On the one side, you have this wildly entertaining game with no auto-battling, almost no auto-pathing, a satisfying combat system, good voice acting, a varied quest line, and interesting environments to traverse. On the other, you have a game designed to entrap you into potentially paying thousands of dollars just to be able to play the endgame properly. Whether you think this is a problem is up to you. My take on it is, it's free to play. So as long as you can enjoy the hours of fun this game has to offer without getting too caught up in the endgame, I'd highly recommend it. Otherwise, maybe keep your cash and spend it on something more worthwhile. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe, as it helps me out a lot. Otherwise, I'm not giving you guys a Gluck Gluck 3000, okay?